Hi, everyone. I'm Esther Ayuk, and I'm going to be talking on real estate generally. For those of you who know me, I'm a pharmacist, but real estate is where my heart is, and that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. I guess every time you turn on your TV, there's going to be something on TV about real estate. It seems to be, I don't know if it causes the economic problems or it's going to solve the economic problems, but it's out there. And I sell residential, some commercial. I do property management in Atlanta, but I'm also open, to talk to people who are not in Atlanta on real estate related issues. And one of the issues that I want to talk about, I just want to go through, not necessarily because I think there's anybody in this hall with that problem, but I think it will be beneficial to someone or somebody they know. And what I'll be talking about is the foreclosure timeline. When I go out to meetings, I would hear somebody would tell a story like, oh, my friend said he had been making his mortgage payment on time, and one day he came home and there's a notice on his door, and they had foreclosed on his property. And that's impossible. There are circumstances where something would go wrong, but it is very, very rare that you'll be making your mortgage payment and they foreclose on your property. Or somebody would say something like, I missed just one payment and they foreclosed on me. There's a procedure in place, and it varies a little bit from one state to another. So what I'm going to be talking about here is the general foreclosure guideline. Each state executes it a little different. There are states that have to go through the judicial process, and there are places like Georgia which have both judicial and non-judicial foreclosure, but majority of them choose to go the non-judicial because it doesn't take as long to foreclose on the property. Now, what happens in a foreclosure when somebody's in problem and they miss, normally your payment is due on the 1st of the month. And your bank would normally tell you that if you don't pay by the 15th, you're considered late. So between the 1st and the 15th, you would choose, to make your payment anytime in that time frame, and you're current. As of the 16th of the month, you are late. Now, because you're late doesn't mean you cannot make that payment. You can still make the mortgage payment after the 15th, and then it'll be up to your institution, whether they're going to, record a late pay against you. And I'm going to start my timeline from January 1st. So January 1st, your payment is due. You don't pay it by the 15th. On the 16th, you are late. February 1st, the next payment is due. As far as the banks are concerned, on February 1st is day one for them to consider you late, even though you've missed a 30-day. So on the foreclosure timeline, you are 30 days ahead of the banks. So February 1st, your second payment is due, but the banks are counting that as day one. So come February 15th, you have missed two payments, but you're only 15 days into the bank's delinquency date. So at the end of February, you have missed two payments, but on the bank's record, you're 30 days behind. Now, when the second payment is missed and you go into March, you are going into your third missed payment, but the banks are going, March 1st is day 31 for the bank. Just assuming February is not 30 days, but that's when you're going into your second phase of your delinquency, even though you're practically, in your third month behind. Now, when you miss that, once you're going into your 60 days, that's when you're in this situation where they're considering you seriously delinquent. It becomes a concern. A phone call is made. Somebody's calling to find out when you're going to make your next mortgage payment. And around day 70, which by now you're over 90 days late, but on the bank's book it's day 70, a notice of default is issued. They give you time, to try to make things right. You get the phone calls, and then you get something in the mail that's saying maybe you forgot paying your mortgage payment, but it is due, and if you can try to pay to bring it current. Now, once you get that notice and you do not respond, from when that notice is sent, within a 30-day period, the foreclosure proceedings actually start. So if you follow my timeline, you're almost 4 months behind. You are 4 months behind when they actually, in their departments, start, considering a foreclosure, because you're registering 90 days behind for them, but you have missed 4 payments. Now, once the paperwork starts, depending on what state you are, if you were in Georgia, for example, all they could do is follow the procedure. You do not have to go to court. All they would do, if you don't respond, is, they would get their lawyers, advertise your a notice in the local newspaper for 30 days, every week for 30 days, and then they can just go on Black Tuesday, which is the first Tuesday of the following month, and auction the house, and it's gone. It could happen that quick in a state like Georgia. Now, in places, a lot of the places in the Northeast have the judicial system. You have to, go to court and all of that for them to be able to actually foreclose on the house. Now, prior to that actually taking place, they would give you a demand notice, like, okay, we're asking you to pay in full or we're going to foreclose. Normally, someone who hasn't paid their payment for, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, is not going to come up with, $12,000, $15,000 to pay it all at once and bring it current. But the bank is required to give you that notice of acceleration. And yes, I have seen people who toyed around hoping that something different would happen, and it didn't happen, so they went ahead and coughed up that money and actually went and paid. Now, you'll be thinking, if my mortgage was $2,000 and I've missed 4 months of payment, realistically, if I was having problems and I actually had issues paying $2,000 a month, maybe because I could only come up with $1,500 or $1,000, you haven't paid your mortgage for 4 months, 6 months. You should have a nice stash somewhere, just preparing for whatever else is going to happen. Now, once you've hit that point, all attempts to collect have failed, that house will be auctioned, and your house will be foreclosed. So when somebody tells the story of, I just missed 1 payment and they foreclosed on me, it is incorrect. Now, with the changes in the laws and the economy, with what is going on, people go into modifications, and most of the times what the banks would do is give you a temporary modification. And they give you a trial period, give you a reduced payment, and they'll tell you that, okay, we're going to give you this reduced payment for the next 3-4 months, and we'll make a decision if we're going to make it permanent or not. When these payments are received, if your mortgage was $2,000 and your trial modification was $1,000, so every month you're making $1,000, the bank does not take that $1,000 and apply it to your mortgage, because it's not they don't do partial mortgage payments. So you send in $1,000 this month, they put it in an escrow account. The next month you send another $1,000 because it's part of that modified payment. Now you have $2,000, and they can apply it towards a full mortgage payment. But they don't do that because they don't know the outcome of that. So at the end of 3 months or 4 months that they give you for a trial payment, they come back and tell you that we cannot approve you for a permanent modification. And somebody would go ahead and send in a payment, and you would hear them complain, oh, I sent my payment and they rejected it. You're sending a partial payment, and the bank has been collecting partial payments from you. So you're still seriously delinquent, even though you were making partial payments. Now they've told you that you don't qualify for that process, and what they're demanding of you is the full payment. So unless you can bring the full payment to bring that loan current, even though you think you've been paying mortgages for the past 6 months, if at the point where you were denied that modification, you cannot make it right, they will foreclose. And that's what a lot of people miss, and you would hear that complaint of, I was making my mortgage payment. Most people don't take the time to read the documents that are presented to them during their modifications to understand what's going on. And one of the things that it happens, there are several laws that have gone into place, HAMP, HAFR, and all the alphabet soups you can think about. Those programs are in there, and there are certain guidelines. If you do not qualify for that modification, there are options that the government is requesting that the bank offers you, and they include short sales, deed in lieu, and foreclosure. So they still give you options. Right now, the banks have so much in their hands. They are not so much in a hurry to foreclose on you as long as you're willing to work with them. But you have to explore the options that are presented to you and take advantage of what is being presented to you. So if you try to do a modification and it doesn't work, instead of allowing your house to go to foreclosure, go ahead and explore the other options that are available. Talk to someone about the possibility of a short sale. To make it even better, they've come up with incentives to kind of help you. The banks want you to work with them for the short sale, and they will offer relocation assistance. And on top of that, a traditional short sale is going to take anywhere from 4 months to probably a year, maybe 2, to go through, depending on who is working on it. And you, that homeowner, at the time the short sale is going on, you're not paying a mortgage. So you should be building your reserves, whatever, to position yourself for when your house is gone. There's no need that your house will be foreclosed on and the sheriffs come and throw your things outside. So there's a process. Now, if the short sale doesn't work, depending on the program that you're in, there are timelines. They're not going to let you try to short sale your house forever. So at a certain point, if you're not able to sell the house, they'll give you the option to do a deed in lieu. And, there are different school of thoughts to that. There are people who say deed in lieu is as bad as a foreclosure. It depends on what you're trying to do with the information later on. There are people who also say that a short sale is as bad as a foreclosure. And one thing I would say categorically is that short sale, deed in lieu, foreclosure, each one of them has its own ills. The problem is not the event. It's what happened prior to the event. And the person who sells their house to a short sale doesn't necessarily have to be facing foreclosure. You don't have to wait until you're at the point of losing your house. There are life events that happen. Homes are upside down. If, maybe you're a 2-income family, now you're a 1-income family, or your spouse had to move to another city to take a job, and those are events, if you want to call it take advantage or just being smart, you can use those to get rid of a toxic asset in your possession. You can short sale that property without being late 1 day, because there's a stipulation. You have to be late, 31 days late on the day the sale closes. So you don't have to damage your credit and do all that stuff before you can do a short sale. If there's a circumstance, you're working somewhere, you lost a job, it's hard to find another job, you've seen an opportunity somewhere, but your house is holding you down. How am I going to move when I have this house I need to sell? You seriously need to look at the short sale. Do not default on the mortgage if you can manage to pay it. Work with someone, get the house sold without your credit being damaged. I can say that for a fact because I have sold 2 houses personally through a short sale. I had no reason to hold on to them, and I had situations that warranted me to do that, and I was approved to sell them. And yes, my credit took a hit, but if you had good credit, your credits were in the 700s, and you did a short sale, maybe you lose 30 points. You can still buy a house. So just look at your situation and make the right decision. Now, with that said, with all the short sales, all the foreclosures, and people who invested when the market was really rough and just had a bitter taste in their mouth, and they don't want to see anything or hear anything about real estate, I'm here to tell you that if you have that line of thought, you're hurting yourself. There are people who can afford it, and if you cannot afford it, so be it. But if you are in a position to afford it, there couldn't be a better time. That one bad investment that you made that hurts you so bad, right now is the chance to make it right. But everybody's going to sit on the sidelines, waiting for the whistle to be blown, and by the time that happens, you would have missed it again. And you'll make another bad decision because you say it's the time. I'm going to just go show you, this is an Atlanta scenario. So, here's a house that I had listed on the market. The prior owner of the house paid $160,000 for it. It was a bad situation, so they had to, put it as a short sale. So I had it listed on the market as a short sale. I'm going to show you, just so it doesn't seem Like, I'm making up stories. Here are the specifics on that property. It's in a suburb in Atlanta. You can see where the previous owner paid $160,000 for it in 2005. It was a brand new construction. I sold that house in March of this year for $65,600. It's a 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. All it needed was a little facelift, carpet paint. That's the interior of the house. Pretty nice house. It's almost 3,000 square feet. 65,600 is what the buyer paid for it. And as soon as I closed on that property, we painted it and replaced the carpet. I put it back on the market for rent for $1,200 a month. It rented within a week. So I brought this scenario, and I know not everybody has to buy a property in Atlanta, but to give you an idea of what can happen in the current market, and just taking into consideration some of the things that people did in the past and investment who were burnt. So it's an opportunity for you to even out and make what you did wrong right. So I'm urging anybody who is in the position, don't sit on the sidelines. It's time to take advantage of. And to end my presentation, I know there are a few docs in here. I'm just going to open up a flyer here. There are programs there that you can utilize to your advantage. This particular one targets physicians. Great program. It's not available in all states, but for the states that is available, it's awesome. It's 100% financing. It's offered by SunTrust Bank. And for the doctors, just take a look at what you can do. Up to 100% financing for a loan up to $650,000 to a maximum of $1.5 million. If you're a resident, you can still do the 100% up to $417,000. No PMI. Anybody who has bought a home and not put down 20% understands the amount you would pay on a PMI on a loan like this. But you can do this loan with no PMI. It's a great program. And there are several others like that for people to take advantage of. So don't be scared because the market has gone down. It's absolutely the best time to buy. The rates and everything is great. Thank you.